why are you a conservative? And what does conservatism mean to you?
It's all about liberty to me. It's all about fiscal responsibility. It's all about leaving America in a stronger, more safe, and more free condition than it was for my children, than it was when I was. It's a real serious charge. Liberty is not something that is a birthright that you get to enjoy forever. It's something that every generation has to fight for.
One way or the other.
Right. And
politically, out of war,
right,
whatever.
Right, and you can lose it very quickly.
Oh yeah.
I think we're in the middle of losing a lot of our liberties. And so that is something that, as a conservative, obviously it means different in America than it does in Europe, where it's more of a traditional thing.
Right.
Here, it's really more of what would have been called over 100 years ago a classical liberal.
Right, that's right. See, what I like about you is you know your history, you know your political theory and stuff like that. I like that. That is strong. That is really good.
By the way, is this for H1N1?
No, that's not. No, I do the whole thing.
Okay,
that's cool. That's for the kids.
All right.
That's right. But without the Obama thing. So
you were doing it before it was cool. Right?
I was doing it way before it was cool. He stole it. You know what I mean? Not from me, but I mean from the kids. So okay, I mean, they might say, okay, well, yeah, that's great. Chuck, you're a big, state assembly person, you live in the OC, the whole 9 yards, but if you're a kid in the inner city, you're some, African-American teenage girl in Oakland, what does conservatism mean to them, and how will Chuck DeVore, senator, impact her life?
I'd say respect and liberty. If you look at the condition of African-Americans before Lyndon Baines Johnson's Great Society and after, what we find is that this massive government intervention that came in and said, you're poor, you can't take care of your family.
War on poverty.
Let us help you, right? What you see is concurrent with that war on poverty, you might as well just call it the war on poor people. That's right. Because what happened was drug use began to soar, illegitimate birth rates soared, divorce rates soared, crime soared, because what happens is that there is no substitute for the dignity of a job that you have yourself to earn bread for your family.
Self-respect.
And it's all about self-respect, and the government cannot give that to you.
Give a man a fish, teach a man a fish.
Now, granted, there were systemic problems in this country that went beyond those economic problems that were addressed with the war on poverty. I'm talking about the great civil rights legislation that came out in the 60s, which, by the way, Republicans voted for.
That's right.
Johnson got the credit, but it was the Democrats that opposed that.
Absolutely.
A lot of people don't realize that.
Including Robert Byrd.
I spoke at the California convention of the NAACP a few weeks ago. I was the only Republican that spoke at the political breakfast. I spoke just before Jerry Brown, and I talked about a couple of things. Number one, my work at prison reform with former State Assemblyman Mervyn Donnelly, who was the head of the Black Caucus in the Assembly. And we worked together on a bill that created 4,000 prison beds for drug and alcohol rehab, because we did such a poor job at basically curing prisoners of their addictions while they were in prison, while we had our captive audience.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and they go back out
them.
and they get right back into drugs and alcohol, and they reoffend. And the other thing I mentioned was modern nuclear power, and how the only way to address the issue of greenhouse gas emissions and have jobs is to have reliable, affordable, modern nuclear power. And that's a big deal if you're somebody in the inner city seeing these good manufacturing jobs like at the NUMMI plant go away.
That's right.
They're going away because our cost of energy is going up, the regulatory burden's going up. We can't compete because we are tying the hands of these companies that used to provide good manufacturing jobs in America. We can't keep doing that, because what we're doing is we're knocking out the bottom rungs of the ladder of opportunity. And if you knock those rungs out, then all you've got is poverty and hopelessness underneath. And we've got to give people the chance. I was a union carpenter before I won my Army scholarship. Wow. I was a dues-paying member of the AFL-CIO.
What was that like?
Working with steel and wearing a hard hat. and paying for my college. I had a good paying job that was semi-skilled, or I was a period 4 apprentice. I was on track to become a journeyman if I stuck with it, and you can make a good living. But the point is that as you drive those types of jobs offshore because of our regulatory and tax policies, you're going to destroy opportunity for people who don't have a trust fund.
Right, exactly.
They didn't grow up in that.
Right.
And so, what I'd say is that obviously the best antidote for poverty is a good job in the private sector.
Amen.
And that's what's going to give people the dignity. And furthermore, government can't give you any rights. Government can enforce the rights that are naturally yours by being one of God's creations, but it can't give you anything you don't already possess. He can take them away.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? So let's not keep looking to government. I mean, I don't think that, in our history, if you look at the practical economic consequences of the Great Society, I don't think that you can say that the federal government has been a particular friend to many of America's minorities. Maybe the intent was there, but in execution, I think it caused a lot more problems than people acknowledge.
I hate all this group stuff anyway. I mean, I'm half Hispanic and I'm half white, but I've always seen myself as just John. I'm an American. Like, I don't get all this, because when you're in this group think and stuff like that, then you always are some, right?
Here's the challenge with people that like to play that card. Maybe 20, 30 years ago, in certain areas of the country, African Americans displayed preeminence to having a majority, right? And we're going to do what we want to do. Well, look at Los Angeles, right? Detroit. Back in the 1980s, we had Mayor Tom Bradley, African American. Right. Well, now we have Mayor Villarreal.
Right.
And that's because there's been a demographic shift.
Right.
Okay, so now are you going to be comfortable if you've put in motion government machinery that gives certain benefits or certain advantages to people based on their race?
Exactly.
Are you prepared for the implications of that if a different race takes over?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, are you sure you want to be doing that with government?
Yeah.
Rather than having everybody equal before the law?
That's what I'm saying. We're all humans. We're all Americans. I don't understand that. So if you were, I mean, obviously you're your own man. You've clearly identified that here and shown that, displayed that. But if you were to make an analogy so that people can understand something when voting for you, what senator or senators that you might most closely associate with that are there now?
That are there today?
Or maybe before that people would know?
Well, certainly, if you look at the current lineup in the Senate, obviously, a big admirer of Senator Jim DeMint. He was the guy that stood up in the Senate and tried to get the pumps turned back on in California, and Feinstein and Boxer voted against him. He's been pretty fearless, and I think that we have that in short commodity right now.
Oh yeah.
So I clearly think we need more individuals like Senator Jim DeMint. Certainly at the congressional level, Tom McClintock, again, another guy who's endorsed me. I think that...
How about Representative Issa? You like him?
He has been a real fighter on the issues of government corruption. I have really enjoyed the way he is diligently, like a bulldog, gone after corruption and malfeasance in government with just apparently completely fearless. That guy has some courage.
Yeah, he does.
And for different reasons on different levels too. I mean, you look at certain foreign policy issues. Ed Royce and Dana Rohrabacher are big advocates of freedom and reasonable policies on defense. I love what Dr. Ron Paul says on the Federal Reserve and on economics and taxation matters. So there are a lot of folks out there that I'd like to draw upon.